That's fine. Take out any two cards you like. You can make them as different as you like.
Okay, sick.
All right? Okay. Here's what I want you to do. Keep them to yourself. Look at them for me. But I want you to remember one and forget the other one. Okay?
Okay.
Ready? And put them back for me. Ready?
Okay.
Now, whether you remember to forget or you forget to remember, it's the same thing. All right? But just have one in your head, right? We'll mix these up and lose these like this. Now, this is going to appear to be all to do with my hands, but eventually you'll realize it's actually to do with your head. So I want you to think of that card. You have it in mind. Ready? Mm-hmm. Watch. Try and do this.
Should we flip it? That's the one I forgot.
Oh, that's the one you forgot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What was the one you were thinking of?
The 5 of hearts.
Okay, watch.
That's stupid.
That's wild.
No.
Ready? I'm not even going to say you haven't said anything yet. Ready?
I haven't.
No, that's right. It's in your head.
Oh my god.
Is it the one you remembered or you forgot?
I tried to forget.
Okay.
I couldn't forget it.
What was the other one?
The King of Spades.
Watch.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Was that it? By the way, what was the one you forgot?
3 of hearts.
Okay, watch.
What the Oh my
god. What was the one that you forgot?
Oh no.
7 of clubs?
Don't.
Wait.
No. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that it?
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. What was the card that you forgot? What was it?
3 of clubs.
3 of clubs? Watch.
Oh my god! That is not possible.
Here we are at Hoff shot. Some of you may already know that this is kind of based on an idea of using a hot shot cut and the concept of Hofzinser, this idea of remembering to forget or forgetting to remember, of having someone have cards and remember one and forget the other one. There's something about this that I've always really loved, and I kind of combined this with the idea of doing a kind of a hot shot style cut to spin out a card. There's some cool stuff to learn in here. Now, one of the reasons we didn't include this in the kind of technical areas, I don't necessarily think that this series of techniques is an essential and so this is kind of a cheeky little bonus snuck in for you again. I don't think it's an essential technique, but it is one that I think is really useful if you want to create an impression and do something very flashy. This type of thing can do that, and specifically the technique that I'm going to show you, I think is the best version of it out there for a number of reasons. It's got like a kind of, you can use it almost as a utility device. You can control things very easily. I'll get into it. Anyway, so I start off by saying to someone, I want you to take out any 2 cards and look at them, make them very different if you want. That's it, and they do. And so let's remove, for argument's sake, the King of Spades and the Ace of Hearts, okay? They take them out. I don't want to look at them or anything. And I say, just look, just remember one and forget the other one. Now you want to say this when they've already looked at them. So when they take out two and I say make them very different. And one of the reasons I hold up like this is because they're now making a choice. And so in this case, they would have gone, oh, the king of spades. It's one chance for it to go into their mind. And then they'll go, oh, and the ace of hearts. That's two chances. So they've now already had that process. They've already chosen them as opposed to randomly taking them out. They could be numbers that they might forget. So often I'll say to them, take any two out, try and make them as different as possible. And that also increases the chance of one being a picture card and one being a number card. So this really kind of just this process of saying, holding it right, I'll do it for the camera here, holding it right up and just saying, look, choose any two, but just make them as different as possible. They're now going to search, and often they'll go for a card that they like or know, and that's at least one of them. Okay, so just this part alone is very helpful. And then once they've got them, and I say, okay, look at them, remember them, and they do that. And I say, actually, just remember one of them and forget the other one. And they go, oh, okay. And I go, and just place them back. It doesn't matter, obviously. And then they place these back inside. And now we're into the same territory as we were before with having the Mahatma shuffle or maybe a stock shuffle, anything we like, in order to control those still to the top. So I'll just do this. And as I'm doing this, I'll say, now, this is going to seem like this is about my hands. But actually, you'll realize that this is entirely to do with your head. But we'll get onto that in a second. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to also execute the double thunder cut, which we taught you elsewhere. So now I have one of the cards on the bottom and one of them on top. So to go back through that, the cards are put somewhere inside. Right, we have a break on them because they've been replaced inside the deck here. I can go through, do a Mahatma shuffle, do some shuffles like this. Now, as I'm doing that, we see from above here, I'm going to do the double thunder cut, which is I pull one card off, I do this fake cut and do this, just looks like a triple cut. And all I've done is send one of those cards to the bottom. Now, in this case, it's the king of spades on bottom and the ace of hearts on top. Now you can do another shuffle if you want, still retaining those. So in this case, you would make sure that the bottom card is shuffled first and the top card goes last, and it does nothing. You don't have to do that. If you want, you could also kind of do the same thing. You could do a false shuffle in the hands and kind of change nothing, meaning that they still both stay there. You don't need to. You don't want to overdo it. The point is, as these come back into the hand, you go, this doesn't matter. You go through the shuffles, and as you're saying, look, this is going to seem like this is entirely about me and my hands, but by the end, you're going to realize that this is actually all to do with your head. So you have one in mind, correct? Yes, I say, well, here's the idea. I'm going to mix these up like this. And the idea is I'm going to try and cut to the very card that you're thinking of. And here's what's going to happen. And I'll go through and teach you this, but I'm going to basically do this, 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 like this. And once I'm in here, I'm going to spring this card out and we start here. Now, at this point, I don't know which card they're going to name. It's theirs, right? I don't. So I just kind of I don't say anything. I just turn this over. Now I can tell from how they react if this was the one they were thinking of. So often as I'm doing this card, I say, just think about your card. I spring it out like this and I do this. Now, if they immediately go bang and they react, I know that they were thinking of the king of spades. If they kind of go, there's a slight hesitancy there, or there's some kind of, there's something you can feel, doesn't matter what it is. That little interruption will be because they were thinking of the other one. So what I do, I'll teach you this cut in a minute, don't worry, but I'm just going to go through the structure. This cut has also preserved the other card on top of the deck. This is why I like this particular cut. Because now when I come back and go, well, that wasn't, and they're going to go, no, that was one of the other ones. I can execute the top change. You go, that was the one you forgot. Oh, I see. So what was the one you were thinking of then? And as I'm doing that, I'm getting my hands further apart. In this case, they'll say the ace of hearts. So sometimes I will just do this, like this. Sometimes I might even do like another cut or something in the hands, like this, as I just do this. And then as I'm looking over here, I just will often spin this, do the pirouette flourish, and it will just draw their attention straight over. So I kind of do this here, do this, and then slowly look at this and turn this. And this appears to have come from nowhere. This will absolutely mess their heads up. So this is a really simple way of playing with something that feels a bit deeper. It's like you're not just getting a card they selected. It's like you're playing with their mind. Now, often when doing this, that very first card that you kick out, like I said, we go into this procedure here, we do this, oops, I hit that across. In fact, let me try that again. So come up here, do this, like this, kick this over. Now I'm going to kick this over and I just do this and I go bang and they react. I know it was the king of spades, okay? React, I come back, I top change and I'll say, what was the one you forgot? As if it was an afterthought. And then they'll say the ace of hearts. And you go, okay, ace of hearts. Then I just do this, might not do anything, I do that, and then this here. So either way, you get that massive reaction. If first of all you get the card they were thinking of, you get like, a 10 out of 10 reaction, or it's a 9 out of 10 reaction anyway, and then this is 10 out of 10. If the first card that you get wasn't the one they were thinking of, so we do this and they go, it's a little flatter, but they're still impressed that you got it, but it's a bit flatter. But now this is so shocking that you get that 10 out of 10 reaction once you get this change. So it's a really beautiful way of kind of playing with the transformation, wrong card, right card, but with this idea of forget one and remember the other one. Now, let me teach you the cutting action. So, really, there are aspects of this which you can probably learn through the hand intelligence stuff that we've also got as part of the Unreal Card Magic project. But also, I'll teach you this here. This starts really with doing a revolution cut. And the simple version of this is we do a revolution cut like this, bring this back around to the top. I'll try and do this in slow motion. I'm going to lift up like this, in like a Charlier cut position. So it's in a mechanics grip. I lift up with the thumb. My forefinger comes round to the side here, like this. I now let go. Basically, it's now being supported entirely between the thumb and the first finger. I'm now going to basically start dipping my third finger underneath here, underneath there. I'm going to start twisting my thumb around until my third finger comes to the side here. I then let that continue until it spins around to the bottom. Once it does, I get my finger out of the way, so it drops into this straddle grip position. I could then use my finger to do this, get it out of the way as I allow the top packet to come down again, and that goes on top. So that in full speed, it looks like this. Now this is a false cut. It's a one-handed false cut in the hands. It does nothing. That king and that ace are still on top. Okay, so it does this, like this. Now the reason that I like this, with it doing nothing, is that it also allows me to get in position for the revelation that was at the end of the hot shot cut. This isn't exactly the same as the hot shot cut. It was a different technique, but the end way that the card was moved out was the same. It looked like this. Okay. Now the reason I like this particular technique is that it allows me to still control cards that I want. Because this is a false cut, it means if I have a selection on top, let's imagine the selection is just the king of spades. I can do this cut, apparently look for the card inside the deck, spin one out, and it's wrong. Oh, what was it? They tell you, and we do this. So you can use it in order to find an incorrect card. Let me show you how we do that. So we're going to do this spin, bring that finger around to the side, just being gripped between thumb and first finger. I start twisting outwards with my thumb on that third finger as my first finger, as my third finger dips underneath, getting to this far edge. I then spin it around like this, allow it to drop into the hand. Now I kind of angle my little finger down to lever it out of the way. I drop this top packet down, and we notice that my forefinger stays inside. And this means as that packet is coming on top, I can now extend my forefinger outwards, and it now pivots round to this position. So what this is just produced a random card from the middle of the deck. Everything else is in order. In fact, the deck's all in order, and there's one of the cards in the middle is sticking out. Now I take my second finger and I put it to the end corner here. And by pushing upwards, it builds up tension. So it's kind of hard to do slowly. But if I push upwards, it kind of spins spins that out. When you do that with a bit more speed and push up on that corner, you'll be able to spin that all the way out. I'm trying to do this without losing it on the monitors here, but you can really get some distance with that and some control. The other thing you can do when standing sometimes is you can actually catch it at the fingertips, which I missed then, but you can actually just catch that at the fingertips. I'll try and do this actually. Come on, Benjamin. Done. There we go. Instead of allowing it to drop onto the hand. Most of the time I prefer to allow it to drop on the hand. I just like it. It's always definitely going to work that way as well. Do this, I'm always going to catch it here. And each time I do that, I'm producing a random card. So this is going to be wrong. But because it's a false cut, everything is still intact. Each one of those cuts, these are still on top. If you follow the top packet here, if I do this cut, it's just coming back around to the top. This is why I love this particular cut, because it feels like more is going on than actually is. It kind of looks like there's a card spinning and it's coming around. It feels like the cards are actually being cut. So when I do this, and I produce one, right? It feels like you must have cut to at least the rest of the cards must now be lost. But because it hasn't done anything, I've got my stock controlled up here, which says produces a wrong card. I can come back and do a top change, and I'm in this position. So just done as a very simple cut in that way, this will be able to produce a card for you. I go through that very quick again. Look, fingers on the side, thumb on the front. I lift up, I move that finger around to here. My little finger sometimes comes around to the back there. I now start pressure between these, the first finger and the thumb. I basically twist that outwards. So by moving my thumb inwards, as this third finger dips underneath and goes all the way to this side, I still maintain that pressure up here. It's now kind of pivoted. I now let go with that thumb, allow it to spin around. My first finger curls, as you can see there underneath. And then I get that finger out of the way. This finger now dips onto the side, angling that over. I allow this packet to drop back down. I keep my finger between it. And then because my finger is now tucked inside, as you can see that there, if the pad of it just pushes upwards and outwards, and it kind of pivots around this second finger a bit, as you can see there, it comes out at this type of an angle. Now I kind of keep the pressure on the deck, and my second finger reaches to that corner. And all I'm going to do is bend the card and basically ping my finger backwards. And as a result, it will kind of ping out. But like I said, done at speed, once you kind of move that around, push that out, you can get that to spring out. And that will keep everything intact, and it's just produced in one random one from the middle. Now, I like that a lot, but I want to also produce a specific card on that first one. And so what we're going to do is do a slight altering to this procedure. This procedure I've just shown you then is the single way of cutting like this to produce a random card from the middle, and does nothing else. But what I want to do is have that first card that comes out be one of the potential selections and still have the control of that top stock. So I'll show you. So we'll put the ace on top and the king on the bottom, okay? All that's going to happen, I'm going to start, this will be slightly different. I'm going to lift up, instead of half, I'm going to lift up a small packet. We do it the same thing, get around, I twist around, get my third finger underneath. And just as it's coming to this point here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to allow my thumb to grab the top few cards, or maybe like half of these, and I'm just going to kind of only grab the top half of these. I'm going to move my forefinger up and allow those bottom cards, as you can see there, to drop underneath. And now I'm in the same position I was before. This means that when I now do this, and I push up, the bottom card has now been produced, but the top stock still remains. So right now I have the king of spades being produced here, and the ace of hearts is still here. So this means that I can now push on this corner, get this, let's try to do that again. So I do this, move around, move that up into this position, push that out, like this. These are sticking now because the lights. I now have that king of spades. When I come back and do the top change, this is now the ace of hearts. This is, I know it's tricky, complicated to explain on here, but let me do it one more time for you. So this is, by the way, why I use that Hoff shot, the double thunder cut at the beginning. So after doing thing in this routine, we then do this double thunder cut, sends one to the bottom. Okay, I have one on bottom, one on top. So I lift up a small packet, do that spin move. As it's coming around, I'm just going to grip some of those cards, which means as I push up with my forefinger, I'm going to just tip them over the edge. It means that all the cards in this bigger packet are going to fall. I loaded the bottom cards, okay, which is where that King of Spades is. Right now, my Ace of Hearts is here. And as I now angle this out and around, that King of Spades is now in the middle. And now I can just push up and outwards on that King of Spades, meaning that I can now push on that corner, spin that out, show that King of Spades. And this is still here for that top change, okay? So in flow, this just looks like this while still talking to them. Whoops, push out, whoops, do this. What did I do then? I don't even know what I did then. What did I do then? Did I get them in the wrong order? Oh, I was looking for the King of Spades. This is going to be the Ace of Hearts this time. So in flow, up, out, down, round, push up around that corner, spin out, Ace of Hearts, gesture, we now have King of Spades, okay? These cards are getting a bit sticky under the lights. That's my excuse. Kind of clumping together. But this is not a simple move, but I think there's many hot shot style cuts that actually cut the deck. And so it's good to produce one card from the bottom, like a selection, but then after it, the deck has been cut. So if you had any other cards you were controlling, they are now lost. The reason I like this procedure is that if I just do the single cut version and produce a random one, right, which I can do, I now know I've still got my stock on top of whatever that was. And if I want to produce one from the bottom, in this case, the King of Spades, I can produce the King of Spades from the bottom of the deck, and I still have my cards on top that I'm controlling, okay? It is tricky. The thing to kind of do with this is to get this basic version down first, or the simpler version down first. Start by just learning, I'm actually going to cut them now. Start by just learning the Revolution cut, okay? It's a cut, I think, by Brian Tudor from back in the day. And this is like a Charlier cut, okay? Whoops, like this. This is like just a standard Charlier cut, except that it's got a spin in there. So you lift up, you get that finger round that side, spin it, and just allow it to go underneath. The first thing is to learn the Revolution cut, if you really want to learn this. And then after you get that down, you can then just start bringing it back around up to the top in order to shoot cards out. So now you have to slow this down, otherwise I could be here all day trying to teach this particular technique. But I think, the basics are there. Lift up on the side, pivot, get that third finger underneath to that side in order to spin it round. You get it to go down underneath. You're in this straddle grip. Your little finger angles down. This first finger stays in between those packets, and I come up and I try and grip the edge of that top packet and I lever it down. And as I'm doing so, you leave that finger in there, and that's what you push up, out and around in order to fire that packet out. And if you want to do the bottom, you just mean you a little packet first, and then somewhere in that process, you grip that, and you allow a packet to go underneath, and then push that out. And that will have produced the bottom card, leaving your top stock intact. So what I love about this cut is it looks like a cut, even though nothing happens. That's what I like. If you're producing a card from the bottom, something happens, but you can still maintain your top stock. Any cut like this that gives me the ability to preserve a stock is just far more useful, and hence the reason why I love this so much. In the flow of a routine and an effect, it feels so nice, super lovely to be able to do that, be in this position, come back, control that space. This is another thing to think about, by the way. When you're actually doing this out here and you produce this first one, they're conditioned to look over here. So once you do this and you show this is here and you go bang, and they're like, oh, maybe, and you come back a top change. And you say, oh, what was it? You come back to the moment you do this, they're 100% over here again. They just don't even know this exists. So once you start doing anything, I mean, you could just do any cut at this stage. It wouldn't really matter. You could do anything with your hands because they're just not going to see that moment happen. You don't have to do this cut, but I would recommend looking into it as much as possible. It's a tricky one to teach. It's a very knacky thing. I would suggest, if you can't do any of this type of stuff, looking into the Charlier cut and the Revolution cut first, and then maybe look at the hot shot cut. Although, they do actually cut the deck. So But these things do require a bit of hand intelligence to learn. But I wanted to kind of sneak this in and teach you this kind of flourishy move for fun in here, because it's just worth it. Okay, so that's hot shot. And like I said, it's a kind of, I also like this kind of idea that you're doing this dexterous thing with your hands, which very much looks like a sleight of hand. And it's obviously a physical manipulation, but then you've kind of messed with their head, where they kind of see this thing and you produce this, it flies through the air and you catch it and they think, oh my God, how did you still find the card? That's crazy. Oh, but that wasn't the one that I was thinking of. And you go, and you do nothing now. And then it changes. It scales. What you're doing this first time round is giving them a kind of a rational pathway. You know, even though it's still impressive, you know, this is how you found it. You did something that you manipulated here. And they understand that game. They don't catch this as a result. And now this has got no methodology. This has got no explanation. So there's a kind of a natural scaling while playing with that original Hoff's idea of remembering one and forgetting the other. Hoff shot. It's a killer. So you've got stuff to practice though. But if you do, you've got something very impressive.